Most of us assume that we have a pretty good bead on things, that we are informed on the world around us and how we all got here, and that we have all the information we need to live our lives. But what if we are wrong? What if there is a world of secrets and stranger than fiction truths out there that we are unaware of and that we are secretly longing to know? Things that once you hear them, you will have to say, "I did not know that." You've all heard of the Panama Canal, linking the Gulf of Mexico with the Pacific Ocean, and possibly the Suez Canal, near Egypt, linking the Mediterranean Sea to the Red Sea. As public works projects of their time go, they really didn't get any bigger. However, there was a grand idea hundreds of years older than those mega projects, one that was attempted over and over for almost 60 years to get completed. Let's set the Wayback Machine. The time, 1567. The place, the area known as Florida. The thing, the Cross Florida Barge Canal. The possibility of crossing Florida through inland waterways was first raised in 1567 by the founder of Spanish St. Augustine, Pedro Mendez de Alvarez. Even in the early days of European colonization, the journey around the Cape of Florida was considered treacherous. Pirates, dangerous currents, hurricanes, and shallow waters doomed many ships that attempted the lengthy trip. It would be hundreds of years before concrete plans for the canal ever took shape, and in the 19th century, the momentum for the canal grew because it would make it easier to sell and to ship goods like timber and cotton between the East Coast and the ports on the Gulf of Mexico. In 1826, John Calhoun and Daniel Webster petitioned Congress for appropriate funds for the first survey of a possible route. 6 more surveys would be funded between 1826 and 1911. They all determined that the canal was either a bad idea or at least too difficult and expensive to be undertaken. Then, in the 1930s, President Franklin Roosevelt's New Deal program brought hope for the canal's project. The New Deal was a group of programs administered by the federal government that funded and built infrastructure projects, highways, bridges, dams, and other types of mega projects. The goal of the New Deal was to stimulate the economy and employ people during the Great Depression. The New Deal started, but the funding ran out after 3 years. Local critics insisted that the canal would disrupt Florida's aquifer and waterways, and national opposition grew in response to claims that the project was a waste of taxpayers' money and of limited value to people outside of Florida. Then, during World War II, Congress, concerned about German U-boats, modified the former sea level canal project into a lock and dam shallow draft canal along the same route as the original sea level project. Work stopped again after the war, until the rivalry between the United States and the Soviet Union intensified. Construction resumed in 1964 with President Lyndon B. Johnson presiding at the groundbreaking at Palatka, Florida. However, the canal was not ultimately meant to be. Among new surge of environmental awareness in the 60s and major opposition to the canal emerged, the environmental criticism was strengthened by the revived complaints about the canal's cost and usefulness. Activist Marjorie Harris Carr appealed to President Richard Nixon and issued legal challenges to the construction. Nixon stopped the project in 1971, kicking off decades of legal battles that ended when Congress eventually deauthorized the project in 1990. With the canal only about 1/3 complete, the land that had been secured for its path sat in limbo. So what do you do with the largest unfinished public works project in history? Turn it into a greenway. The Greenway is a 110-mile linear park that is more than a mile wide in places and hosts more than 300 miles of trails of all types, paddling, hiking, mountain biking, equestrian, and paved multi-use. And it is also a wildlife corridor, which is one of the few times in history that a defunct government works project ended up being an environmental benefit, bringing to mind the Native American quote about not altering the earth. We do not inherit the earth from our ancestors. We borrow it from our children. And now you know that.